you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Just the foul language. You know, the foul language for me, for that company, AEW, it seemed like they're not even trying to expand their audience. Because for me, just say for instance, when I had a buddy, he had a cannabis shop in LA, right? And he had nurses out on the sidewalk, and and the nurses had these little short dresses on, saying, "Hey guys, come in, get your card, you know what I mean? See the doctor, get your card today," and whatnot. And I told my buddy, I said, "Hey man, do you know that you are representing the community as a doctor?" And for me, if I was, coming from Texas and I had my kids with me and I saw something like that, I would be really hot because I don't need you teaching my kids about that. That's something for me to teach my kids about. What I'm saying is that kind of, that kind of business, you giving everybody a bad rep more than anything. And I think there again, the foul language for me, for my kids to want to watch that, I might tend to say, no, I don't want you guys to watch this because you're going to be teaching my kids words that I don't really actually want them to be saying in school the next day. You know what I mean? So when I see something like that, I just got to call it for the way it is. And I just don't think that company is trying to grow their audience past 1 million fans more so than anything. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I know that we'll talk about the foul language right now since you just brought it up. I think that obviously when they're starting out AEW, they're trying to do everything to differentiate themselves from the WWE, right? I mean, it makes sense. You want to be a true alternative, a different variation of the product. You don't want to be WWE Light or WWE 2.0 or what have you.
Yeah.
So you have this promos be a little unscripted, maybe use a little vulgar language to kind of pop the crowd and be like, oh, this is a little bit more adult oriented. I do want to tune in. But you're absolutely right. Now it's in the past couple of months, I keep reading that they're trying to take back some of that foul language. And I love Soraya, but going on television and talking about a women's private area with a not so beautiful term for Ace Steel, whom you're aware of now, Booker, Ace Steel using the F word on television, and every other thing is S this, S that. We're on the radio, so we can't say those words, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's not good. I think it just, to me, more than anything, demeans wrestling. Not even the product. It demeans wrestling.
Yeah.
Just like a few years ago, I remember we had an incident at Reality Wrestling where there was somebody spat, and we actually cut it out, right? Because you weren't okay with it, because you said, look, this is a family show. I don't want to see that on a morning television after church, right? We don't need that kind of language. We don't need blood on our show. We don't need any kind of bodily secretion, to say the very least, right? Because it's taken wrestling so long to not be looked at as a lesser art form, right? I remember people just be like, oh, you like wrestling, right? And we've been able to break that thanks to guys like you and The Rock and Steve Austin kind of ushering in a popularity for it. We were able to get this big audience, and then it's become family entertainment. WWE and pro wrestling has replaced P.T. Barnum, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, right? It's replaced that. This is the new circus that you can bring your family to, and there's something on there for everybody. The dad and the mom are going to like it, and the kids are going to like it. And we use that language, man. It's just, I think we're past that. We're past that moment in wrestling.
Just to give you a little story before we take this break coming up here in a minute. I remember back in the day, all right, we used to go do these high school shows all the time. I mean, it was a common thing for wrestling to be held at a high school gym on a regular basis or every weekend. And I remember we were working at this one high school in Bel Air, okay? And I remember the guy said, hey guys, no bleeding or anything like that, no vulgar language, okay? And I remember Tiger Conway Jr., he went out and he bled so much. I mean, you'd have thought he was Abdullah the Butcher. He was bleeding so bad, all over the kids running, screaming. It was chaos, and they kicked our asses out of that school so quick, and we never got back into the independent school district, HISD, ever again after that. I tried to do a show at my old junior high school with my reality of wrestling company, and we went and did it. But I'm going to tell you right now, it was so hard to get into that high school because of what those guys did back in the day. And I'm going to tell you right now, if they didn't want it in the schools where the kids were, and those are the kids who potentially may be watching the show, you don't think that's hurting your product? You don't think that's perhaps maybe something that you might want to think about? I could be wrong. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. I'm just chopping it up, talking about the state of the union in professional wrestling. Had to pull my Wolf Blitzer hat out. But I don't know, man. Like I say, that's just my thoughts on that. As far as where we are in professional wrestling, like I say, that story I was just telling about back in the day at that high school, it definitely changed the whole name of the game as far as, you know, wrestling companies like myself being able to go to a high school and be able to go out there and do a fundraiser, you know, for whatever, the band department, whatever, raise some books, whatever. All of that went out the door back in the day. Can you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.